Hi everybody, welcome to the Q4 Cambridge Power Platform User Group event. Welcome, it's been a while. So I'm Sharon Sumner, as you probably all know by now, and today we have got a completely full session for you with both April and Heather here to entertain. So let's just have a look at what's coming up today. So I'm going to do a short introduction. I'm just going to tell you a couple of bits about how the day is going to go. Then we're going to hear from Nigel Frank, one of our co-sponsors, along with Casper 365. Nigel and Frank are going to tell you a little bit about what they do. And then we're going to hear from the rather marvellous Heather Newman, who is going to talk to us about building community through storytelling. And then April Dunham, one of my favourite ladies in tech, is going to go through the Project Oakdale stuff. So then we're going to have a bit of Q&A, and then we're going to have a look at a prize giveaway. So today we have two prizes courtesy of Nigel Frank. So we'll be looking at giving away a couple of Amazon gift vouchers for you. We will be announcing after the event on social media. So if you are here, you stand a chance of winning. You have to be at the event. And our speakers will pick you at random. So we're asking both Heather and April, who know none of you, to just randomly pick a name at the end of their session. So you need to be an attendee at the end of their session for them to pick you out, and then we'll let you know on social. If you don't want to be included, do let us know. We don't want to tweet out anybody that doesn't want to be tweeted, if that's a thing. So, and don't forget to tag us on the social as we go through the agenda today. So one of the things that we've launched this quarter is to help the user group out. Like I say, we have sponsorship rather kindly from Nigel Frank, and also my crowd are here from Casper 365. But if you'd like to get involved, if you'd like to sponsor and help us meet some of those bills for the communication and the time that it takes to get the events up and running, for the meetup subscriptions, gifts and prizes, or if you'd like a mention within the group or to give away some branded gear, get in touch with us. Everybody loves some swag, and we'd love to hear from you. So we've launched this on Patreon. So if you look on Patreon under Sharon Sumner, we use my name because we thought it was fairly memorable, then we'll be able to hook you up with some sponsorship, and we would really appreciate that just to help the group keep going. It is really important that we keep the group going even while we're in lockdown, so that we can keep bringing information to you. And when we get back together in real person, which will be great, really looking forward to it, that we are all the stronger for the skills that we've learned in the meantime. So really looking forward to being able to put together something quite special for when we get back together. Heather here to talk to us about building community through storytelling. This is Heather. She should need no introduction. She's absolutely marvellous. Really loved meeting her in person last year as well. You don't quite get all the personality on the camera. She's an absolute gem and is now really well engaged with the Power Platform to help us bring all of these topics to the surface. So Heather's going to talk to you about building community through storytelling. She's going to go first. And with that, I think I'm going to hand straight over to Heather to get started on the first session and allow you to crack on and deliver your content. Thanks, Hope.
You bet. Cool. All right. I'm going to get into the share mode here. Thank you so much, Sharon and Luke and Hafsa, for all the great setup you do. And I'm so thrilled to be here with April. She's one of my favorite people ever. So so welcome and good afternoon. I am coming to you from Marina del Rey, Venice Beach in Los Angeles, California. The sun rose about 15 minutes ago and I have a cup of coffee, so I'm ready to go. As Sharon was saying, I've got to go. Seb Matthews had me come last year for SharePoint Saturday London, and then I've hung out in the UK a lot over the years doing lots of events for the Office 365 and SharePoint teams. I was also an MVP up until June for Office Apps and Services. I did recently join Microsoft as Principal PM Manager. I'm the lead for our Power Platform community success team now. So all of the folks who work on the different communities for Power Platform, apps, Automate, PVA, our friends in BI, and also Dynamics. I work with all of them now on strategy and how we do community, how we build community, how we support community, how we listen to you, and hopefully give you the things that you need to help you in your jobs to be successful and to better connect with each other. So I am Hedda Newman on the Twitterati and Instagram, and also we have our Twitter handle at MS Power Plat that we love when you use. That's new too. That just came out a few months ago, so that was really exciting. I am also a blogger. I've owned a couple of businesses. I was at Microsoft back in 2001 when the SharePoint marketing team started. I helped build the partner ecosystem. I started the SharePoint conference. I also deleted the first 125 case studies ever written on SharePoint and had to get them restored from the server. So you're welcome for the recycle bin button in SharePoint. That was me. And so I also, you know, I'm called Hedda a lot of times. That was a nickname from college. And I love getting up out of the bed in the morning to talk to folks and do user groups and all of this kind of stuff. So I just want to say thank you again for having me. You know, my why is about spreading joy and connecting people. And I really believe that life is a gift. And I try and do that every day. And I'm a natural storyteller. I was a theater major turned tech geek. I did go to the University of Washington in Seattle as a theater major. And then back in 2001 is when I got into technology. So I'm here to help connect. I'm here to help everybody tell their best stories. And I love, you know, I used to travel around the world. I was in 6 countries last year, all over the place, spreading the good word of Office 365 and SharePoint. And I also have a podcast that's called Mavens Do It Better, where I interview experts who bring a light to the world. And I don't know, many of you know that I'm from Michigan, the Mitten State. So I'm from right about here. I was born here. My parents are from here. So if you've ever seen anybody hold up a mitten, Michigan looks like a mitten. So there you go. I wanted to point out last week we had, and I was so thrilled to be co-host with John Levesque, who runs our Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents communities, to co-host the Power Platform Community Conference. That conference has been, it started off as the Flow Conference. It was the online conference back in March of this year, and we changed it. We changed one word from online conference to community conference, where we really were working to celebrate the community around gratefulness and thankfulness. All of you who contribute and who are connecting to each other. It's 9 hours of content. It's from the community with some intros by our leadership. And you can go check that out on YouTube at aka.ms/watchpop, POPCC, if you want to check that out. The sessions are also time-stamped if you like. So definitely check that out as well. We also have a power challenge coming up. I know that so many people are taking exams and upskilling, and it's really important. It's important in this time, I think, when, you know, there's some career switching going on. People are, you know, have lost jobs because of COVID, and we're in a very tumultuous time. And so, and let me just say, you know, be kind to each other, give each other some grace during this time, because it's been hard on everybody. Everybody's going through something that I know. And, you know, when you can have a moment to maybe, you know, do some things for yourself. Self-care is about how you learn, how you take care of yourself, how you take care of your families. And this challenge and the upskilling, I think, is a really cool thing that Microsoft's put out. So definitely check that out. The challenge goes until November 23rd, so you have some time. So that's aka.ms/WhackPopCC. You're going to see PopCC around a lot. It's a hashtag also on Twitter. If you want to see what happened last week during the event, hashtag PopCC as well, and then Whack Challenge for the actual challenge over there. All right, that was some housekeeping. So for me, we're going to talk about storytelling. We're going to talk about community. I'm going to talk a little bit about Power Platform, and I'm going to make sure you have lots of resources at your hands. I want you to all know, please, since I haven't maybe met you, or if I have, hello again. please feel free to connect with me on Twitter at Hedda Newman. DM me anytime. You have a question about something, you're looking for a resource, you want to give me some feedback about our team or how we're doing things, I am happy to hear from you. That is my job. So definitely connect with me and let me know what you need, and let me know what you need from my team as well. Okay, cool. All right, so any Doctor Who fans? I am a huge Doctor Who fan, but I was kind of late to the party. Okay, so I'm now on season. I just started season 10, and I know the reboot happened in 2005. But this is a Doctor Who quote, and it's one of my favorites. About, we're all stories in the end. Make it a good one. I'm a David Tennant fan. I don't know who else is a David Tennant fan, but I'm also I'm really enjoying Mr. Capaldi as well, so it's kind of fun. You all probably know all of this histories. It started November 1963. It was intended to be a family educational program. Two of the main characters were science and history teachers, which was kind of interesting. And then it was all historical, no aliens. And then at some point, we got into the aliens and it took off as a sci-fi deal. So, I kind of look at life like a book. A friend of mine said that to me, a book that has a couple of chapters. And you can really always tell when you're going into a new chapter of your life. Sometimes you have to go back and reread a chapter because you haven't learned the lessons you were supposed to, I think. The universe is kind of funny that way. But I look at life as a book. Each day is a page that you get to write for yourself and your family and your friends, your customers, coworkers, and the world. And you have the pen in your hand about what you chose to write. So, in the technology world and in the consumer world, we hear the word disruption, right? The pace of change has never been this fast, and it'll never be this slow again. We're going to have 500,000 new apps have been, created and are being created. And just, we don't have enough people. We've got all of this sort of, motion and movement forward. And as far as the pandemic goes, I think there's many of us, who haven't had a tragedy this large since 9/11 that has affected everybody around the world. And the thing is, though, is that there's tragedy every day in people's lives. And I feel like sometimes we are removed from those tragedies if we don't feel them ourselves. This whole thing that's going on has touched all of us, right? And disruption, I think, obviously brings change. It brings up fears and worries about uncertainty. That word is being used all the time. From working from home, I don't know about you, but I am not working less. I am working more. I am fatigued from screens. I'm restless. I'm tired. A lot of times, you don't know what the day may bring. There's a lot of things that sort of take space and have rent in your head. And I think there's so much disruption right now that it's hard to focus. And I have these thoughts that are running through my brain. There are a lot of things. But I really try and concentrate on what is the story that I'm telling myself. And storytelling is very interesting. It's been around forever, since, cave drawings and such. And we all have a story to tell. I believe that 100%. And we all have a bit of control on the story that we have to tell about ourselves, and the one that we tell in our own brains, and then the ones that we actually tell to other people, right? So you're running a narrative right now as you're talking to me, whether it be you're thinking about your day, you're thinking about the things that you have to do, you're thinking about somebody in your life that needs you, you're thinking, oh my goodness, maybe is she talking too fast? What's she talking about? What is this tech? What's happening? There's all kinds of things that are your narrative that are running through your head right now. And unfortunately, I think it is a bit of a fear narrative. It can be. Some people are like, I don't have a fear narrative. And I think we all do to some extent. The thing is that, the fear narrative is, questions and thoughts that are compounded and combined and then repeated when we're worried or when we're stressed. I know I've been worried and stressed as of late. And so I try to really acknowledge the fact that that's the case. And that I try to stop the repeat of the narrative, like what's going to happen, what's going on with my family, how is the job, how are my friends, what's going on. It's like that earworm, that, maybe the one-hit wonder Christmas song that you can't get out of your head from the past. But, the fear narrative comes from our brains being millions of years old. It's the fight or flight reaction to things that put us in danger, right? And so this story, I think, is that narrative is something that can definitely make us unproductive. It can make us feel disconnected and make us feel alone. This lizard brain craves energy and loves worry. And it's that thing that gives us adrenaline. It keeps us kind of going. But after a while, when you're running the story and you continually hitting that adrenaline and hitting that button, it's exhausting. And it makes us not want to get out of bed. And that's a big deal, I think, in our world with what stories we tell ourselves and what stories we are also sharing with other people. We like control. Humans like control. I know I like to, control as much as I can. And the loss of control and what is normal, a word I don't really like anyway, but it's kind of at this epic peak, right? Our fears at any given time are things that could happen, not what is usually happening in the moment. And that's what brings us to worry and fearful thinking. And then when something does go sideways, you know what? We go into action. We face the moment. If any, terrible things happen, we deal with them, right? But when we're dealing with something like a pandemic and all the other things that have come along with it, there is always that. What's happening next, right? And so I think those things can lead us into some D words that I don't like: depression, disappointment, disease. When we worry, we give fear all the power. And we can't control everything, right? It's like boiling the ocean, which is something we don't want to do and can't do, honestly. But there is a lot in life, as we know, that's beyond our control. The thing is that what we can control are our thoughts, what we watch and what we take in and consume, and how we feel and how we talk to ourselves and how we talk about ourselves and how we talk about each other. And I believe that requires a bit of thoughtfulness, some practice, and some decision making. So in a time of crisis, there are fears, but in order to keep going, I think our strength to combat any moment of reality, we need to find that hopeful and action-filled warrior inside each of us and flip the script on that fear narrative. So this one comes up a bit in how we talk about ourselves as well. Imposter syndrome. This one stops a lot of us without us knowing it. Some people are like, I don't have imposter syndrome. And I'm like, well, okay. Have you ever doubted yourself? Ever? Once? That's imposter syndrome. When we don't speak up, when we don't, believe that we can do something, that we believe we don't have enough of the skills to achieve something, when we are like, should I say that? Should I not? When you have to make a decision about whether to put your hand up or speak out about something, like that can be that psychological pattern when you're like, I will be exposed as a fraud if I say that I can do something that I can't, right? There's a couple of studies that have been done that say that women typically on a job interview, if there's a list of 10 things and 2 of them they're not right for, women will not apply for the job. So there's some data that supports some of this imposter syndrome, but I don't think it's just a female thing. I think it affects all of us in any given time. So I think these are some things that I'm going to ask myself a year from now. How did I use my time? How did I lean on certain things? How did I share? What did I do? How am I recovering? Is my life different or better? There's some people I know that are thriving right now, that are have really made some really positive changes in their lives, or taken the moment of reflection, or the great pause, as it were. And I think a lot of people are sharing their stories. I feel like that's really interesting to me, is that people are talking about themselves more than they, I think, normally would, sharing stories of how they're triumphing over things in their lives, and also that you're like, oh, I need a moment, A lot of that, I see it on Twitter, I see it in private messages, I see it in emails, I see it on WhatsApp, I see it in our, those calls that we have with our families on Sundays that are happening maybe more often, or our friends. I feel like in this intense time of quarantine, we are learning and discovering new ways of working, new ways of relating, loving, parenting, looking at our differences and how we move and shake in the world. And maybe the breakneck pace that we've become accustomed to might change a little bit if we take some time to reevaluate it. This is another quote from Doctor Who. Changing our fear narrative by recognizing it, learning from it, creates, I believe, empathy, bravery, vulnerability for us to share our stories with each other. We build that connective tissue that builds community between us. I know this sounds, but use that fear to share your story. I think we all respond so much more to stories than we do to just facts and data and numbers and all of that. That's why people do case studies. That's why people write testimonials. That's why we put together those great videos that you see at like Ignite and Inspire of these great stories of people like using Power Platform or using SharePoint to solve business problems and to help their businesses and to help other people, right? Those are so fun and so great. And I think the way we best work on ourselves is really truly by talking to each other, by you all coming together in a user group about a like-minded thing about Power Platform. You're going to talk about Power Platform and all the great things that you're doing with it and the solutions you're building. And then you're also going to potentially talk about, how this pandemic has affected you and what you're doing and what you're trying to do or where you want to go as far as your career and your skills. Right now, I know that, the live Q&A in a live event is maybe not quite as robust as like in a Teams meeting, but, I see you asking questions and all of that. And please pepper away, by the way. I will get to all of them, even if I don't get to them right now. But, when everything you say, everything you do, everything you tweet is telling the world something about you. It's your personal brand. So when you're filling out paperwork or a form, you're telling a story. Your homepage of your website tells a story, right? And I feel like if we can look at and think about our narratives out in the world, it's super powerful in how we connect with each other. Something super cool that was fun that we did as a team is called a Pecha Kucha. And I really highly recommend this. A Pecha Kucha is a storytelling format where the presenter shows about 20 slides for 20 seconds of commentary each, right? So you have 400 seconds to tell your story. I can't tell you how cool this is. It's visual storytelling that really celebrates humanity. So you're allowed to put only photos, no words, right? And then you speak to them. And I loved this. You learn so much about people by what they decide to actually put in something like this and what they decide to show you, what their narrative and what their story is. Pecha Kucha means chit chat in Japanese. You can totally go Bing it and you can totally find all the information about it and a template and everything else. I highly recommend this. If you haven't done something like this, it takes a bit. It's more kind of offsite kind of thing, and we're doing offsite still, virtually right now. Taking the time to do something like this to connect to the people you work with, especially right now, when we are disconnected and we're through these, panes of glass, I think it's really, really important to do things like this. There we go. This one was one of mine. And as you can see, there's a timer down there. So I had to speak to it in 20 seconds. So I was a Girl Scout. That's me as a kid. That's me in my dorm room at the University of Washington. And if it had wheels or some sort of rollers on it when I was a kid, I was on it. Skateboard, roller skates, bike, all of that kind of stuff. And that is one slide of the Pecha Kucha. There you go. So the other thing about, I think, connecting is, we in technology, we need both the deep how-tos, which you're going to get some of that from April. She's going to show a live demo. It's totally awesome. We need best practices. We need upskilling. We need some digital literacy. And we need the stories that map to what we do every day. So when we blend all of those things together, somebody said to me, it's like, why you talk about kind of the ooey gooey stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I do, because it's important. I can talk tech all day long as well. But there's this ooey gooey side to life and technology that is super important. And that's all about the storytelling pieces of it, So when we blend the tech, the deep dives, all of that, our storytelling, I believe truly that it makes our community stronger. So, right here, right now, you decided to come here today to learn and connect. People start user groups for the same reasons, right? I think that when we tell our personal stories, our triumphs and our fears, we grow. We just do, and we don't feel so alone in the world. And if you really want someone to buy your services, your products, you have to be the guide and you have to let the customers be the heroes. So what story are you telling about how you solve business problems for other people? That's storytelling, and that's building community, right? At least I think so. All right. Hey, Luke, let me know how much time we have left, because I want to make sure and not run over April's time, but I've got a few more slides, and I can whip through them because they're resources. How are we doing?
It's 40 minutes a session, so I'd say about 10 minutes, and with a bit of QA time.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, cool. I'll whip through some things, and you're going to get these slides anyway. So awesome. Thank you for that. So humans first. This is something that Carol Wanagatimo on the Teams team, you might have seen her speak. She is a principal PM manager director as well, building community and running the big team over there at the Teams engineering area, customer advocacy group. This is one of her slides. And, engaging with your coworkers and customers beyond work topics, prioritizing the health and well-being of employees. The thing is right now, I hope you're seeing these things from Microsoft, from Satya level all the way down. James Phillips, when he talks, Charles Lamanna, we're hearing from the executives telling us and talking to us about, how do you prioritize your employee wellness right now? It's super important. And think about how we look at our mission statements and our culture statements. Those are all stories. A story about your company, about how you run your company, what's important to your company, how do you want folks to be right now and be as we go through all of these things together. So think about humans first, and think about maybe looking at some of those things for the return to work and how we're working from home and wellness, and Headspace is connecting to Microsoft now, that amazing voice, for us to meditate and all of those things. Those all are a story that we perpetuate about how we treat and talk to each other. There's a virtual event playbook here, and I saw a question about why we ran the Power Platform Community Conference on YouTube. We're playing with how we do things. This virtual event playbook is all about how to use Microsoft Teams for virtual events. I helped write this. Caruana, her team, and Carrie Popmeyer, who you probably know if you're a Teams MVP or person. That's all about how that works. With YouTube, we were trying YouTube and Learn TV. So we do experiments sometimes, and we found that it was an interesting way to put on the conference. And I'm going to look at your comments and reply to you. But we're trying a few different things at Microsoft on how we produce, and that was one of them. So I think all of you, obviously, the Power Platform you're very, very, very familiar with Power BI apps, Automate, and virtual agents, with our data connectors that continue. I mean, I can't keep up. I keep saying how many there are, and then I have to change my slides. But with AI Builder and the Common Data Service. The cool thing about Power Platform, about being on what is called the Power Cat team, so it's the our customer advisory team, they continue to pull wonderful stories out from our customers. True Green is a large lawn care organization in the US. They had Power Virtual Agents surface a solution to provide a chat bot that would proactively identify customer challenges, and it also helped employees to spend time on higher value tasks. This is a huge organization in the United States, and all of these stories are available up on our sites, on our community sites. Sterling Bank, Foyan B, who had an amazing story there. I'm going to let you all go check her story out, but she was featured at Inspire as well. And I'm going to go here, if I can go to the next slide. For communities, we have 141 super users, and we have over 2 million participants in our community. If you haven't signed up or are a part of it, we'd love for you to go to community.powerplatform.com and all of those wonderful hashtags below. If you have a question regarding Flow and you want to get somebody in the Flow fam that you are all a part of, but someone else in the community to help you with what you're working on, and it's a Flow question, hashtag Flow fam, hashtag Bot Squad, hashtag Power Addicts. There are so many beautiful people in this community, all of you included, who help each other, and I want to say thank you to you for doing that. But use the hashtags in Twitter if you're a Twitter person for your benefit, to get to people and to get your questions answered, as well as community forums. So if you haven't been in our forums, that's where you can answer and ask questions of other community members. You can go into any of the communities and learn from that area and also participate. Galleries is where people put up their samples and the different templates and that you can use and you can learn from and you can share up there. It's super, there's so much up there. It's so exciting to see what everybody's doing. If you've put something up there, thank you, it's amazing. And ideas is a place where you can upvote something that you're looking for. Where is this feature? I want X. How is it going? Ideas, it's a great place to give feedback that goes directly to the product team and all of us, and also to look and see what other people are asking and looking for from our products. A lot of people ask me what a super user is. A super user is someone in the community who spends time helping others. And it's a designation that we have for folks who are doing things in the community. I don't know if there's anybody on the call who's a super user. If you are, thank you so much. But there's ways to, an author an accepted solution, doing kudos, posting blog articles, putting gallery content up there. If you have questions about the super user program, we have an aka.ms link there, PP super users. But it's a lot of fun because you get invited to meetings and you get some extra perks and that sort of thing. So if that is your jam, please go in there and check it out. I've got a bunch of resources slides next. So Power Platform resources, aka.ms, Power Platform guidance. Stop for a second. PP Arch series is our architecture series. And this one, PP Customer Showcase, is where a ton of our stories are, right? So I want to encourage you all to share your stories with each other about what you're doing with Power Platform and what you're doing with your lives. That's what these user groups are all about, I think. It's about how we connect with each other. I know we're not in person. I know it's harder this way, but the fact that you're here and that you're participating is super amazing and awesome. There's some Teams resources slides as well. Being a guest blogger with them, product feedback, that wonderful community tenant that we talked about, and getting in on their community events. I love the Teams team. I do a lot with them, and we're going to partner even more because of Oakdale and all the good things that are happening that April's going to talk about. And lastly, I'm going to leave this slide up and open it up for questions. The Humans of IT community. So the Microsoft Tech community is where Teams and Office and SharePoint and OneDrive are housed. All of our business applications communities are over on community.powerplatform.com. But Humans of IT is great, and it's near and dear to my heart. I was part of the origination of this community, and this is where people are sharing stories about personal and professional life, and also looking for upskilling. And there's a beautiful community mentors program over there that you can join and be a part of. So, questions and thoughts on that? And there's the Mentor mobile app as well, if you want to scan and look at that. But it's really, really, really cool.
By the way, there is a QA tab on the right-hand side of the Teams event. If you would like to ask Heather a question, feel free to write your question in there and she will answer it promptly.
Did you say probably or properly?
Promptly. She'll probably answer it.
Well, she'll probably maybe get it. I don't know. No, published, dismissed. No questions. All right, that's totally fine. Let's see.
Not a question, but a compliment from Stephen. Great session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you, Stephen. So since we don't have any questions, I'll just put this one, my one last Doctor Who quote, because I love it. I think this is interesting. I think it's very apropos for today because there's lots of things happening in the world right now that are just wow. But certain places, different things are happening, and then other places, someone's tea is getting cold, so it's like thinking about how, all of us are in different moments in our lives and in our stories, and everything is different for everyone, so right now I think the cup of tea that I'm asking people on my team and I'm trying to put this out into the world is a cup of grace. I think, man, there's a lot. And I think giving each other some grace and some gratitude, and connecting with each other is really important. And that's a bit of work, but that's okay. I think it's really important. So I wish you all good health and goodness. And Microsoft, I think I'm very proud to be a part of. I have been part of Microsoft on and off in so many different ways over 20 years, literally, as you all say, 20 years. And so, I'm happy to be a part of the team officially again. And I love working on Power Platform, and I'm here to serve you. So as is my team. So anyway, that was the last slide. Sonia Cuff, Cloud Advocate's awesome. And I'm going to hand over to April to rock out a demo and be amazing. So thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
I'm going to pass it over to you. So cool.
Thanks, Heather.
You're welcome. All right.